to the ones in the US and good evening to the ones in Pakistan. I'm Nauman Ashraf, Chair of YPC for this year. And first of all, congratulations to all of you. You've matched and you're here. And I think this is going to be a very important webinar on visa processing. Some housekeeping rules. What we are doing this year is, as Umar was asking all of you to turn on your cameras. So we are doing these webinars. We request everyone, if you can, please turn on your camera. And if you want to ask a question, have your camera on, raise your virtual hand, and then we'll give you the opportunity to come online and ask the questions. If for some reason, say you're driving and you cannot turn on your camera, then we have our YouTube streaming live at this point, and we'll share the link in the chat. Please go to YouTube and you can type your question in the comment box. That would be the only place where we'll pick it up from, and then we can answer those questions. So with that, I'm gonna introduce our moderator for today, Dr. Omar Tariq. He is an attending interventional radiologist at Rush University, Copley Medical Center. He's also the chair for YPC KEMCAANA for this year. And if I have what I've known, and I think he's been mentoring his students since like sliced bread. He's probably mentored like thousands of students now. And we also got a panel of gurus on this topic of visa processing. So I expect a great webinar today. And at this point, over to you, Umar, to introduce our panelist. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you much, Nauman bhai. Thanks for the kind introduction. So yeah, we are lucky. We have some really experienced and seasoned mentors in terms of visa guidance. We have Dr. Fateh Shahzad here, who's an internist at Ephraim McDowell Hospital in Danville, Kentucky. He's the immediate past president of KEMCAANA. And who doesn't know him? Like, he has been the biggest person from advocacy committee of APNA for the past decade. He's a member of finance committee as well. We also have Dr. Ahmed Rehan Khan here. He's the assistant professor of psychiatry at Virginia Tech Haralian School of Medicine. He's the lead for YPC Advocacy Committee. In addition, we have Dr. Muhammad Osama, who's an attending physician at Marshfield Clinic. He's also assistant professor of medicine at UW Medicine and Medical College of Wisconsin. So we expect a great webinar today. We'll start with Dr. Fateh Shahzad. He's going to briefly talk about the entire visa process. I hope you all listened to the video by Dr. Ahmed Rehan Khan, and then we will start taking questions. Just a reminder, please have your videos on. And if you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see a reactions icon. Click on that, and there's an option to raise your virtual hand. I'll take all the virtual hands one by one, and we'll take your questions. So starting with Fateh bhai, Dr. Fateh Shahzad, please go ahead.
Ji, assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Muhammad Fateh Shahzad. I will not waste much more time in my own introduction. We will be helping you out with your visa process from here onward. I'm sure some of you have contacted me before regarding your B1, B2 visas. So this will be for J1 and J2. We have provided you the guides for J1, J2, as well as H1 visa. How do we convert J2 and H4 to J1 while you are here, and how we are going to help you with J1 and H1 while you're in Pakistan. So review that document. I don't want to go in all detail because that will take a lot of time, but we will review your DS-160 application, as well as prepare you for visa interview and answer your unique question, because everybody is individual case, and we will respect that if you ask question here or later on. So I will stop here. We will have this interactive section most of the time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Fateh Shahzad. So starting with the first applicant, I see a hand raised. Mubashir Shahid. Mubashir, if you can please come forward, briefly introduce yourself, your med school, your year of graduation, and what your question is. Please. Thank you, Mubashir.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Umar, for doing this webinar. I really appreciate that. My name is Dr. Mubashir. I'm a graduate from CMH Lahore Medical College. My year of graduation is 2019, and I matched this year in internal medicine at Tidal Health. And I'm really excited to be going to the next step of my journey. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell. So my questions that I had basically for you guys were the following. One of the things that was really bothering me was the NPI and SSN number things. I just wanted to clarify that is that required? Is this something that's required currently for the visa process, or is this something that we're supposed to do later on or alongside our visa processing things? And the other question that I had was the B1, B2 interview waiver thing that's been being talked about. That if someone has a B1, B2 visa, they can get a waiver for the interview for the J1 visa. So I just wanted you to briefly talk about that if that's possible. And last question about the statement of need. So in the groups, I've been seeing people discussing about basically the duration of time you're supposed to write down on the statement of need application. Some say 3 years, some say 7 years, some wrote 3 to 7 years. So I just wanted your clarification on that particular topic as well. These are my questions for you guys. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you,
I will
Mubashir.
try to answer.
Dr. Fateh, please go ahead.
So regarding NPI and Social Security number, the Social Security number will be obtained if you don't have already when you enter United States. So you can apply after 10 days of entry. So you will have to do in person, go to local Social Security office and get it done. Regarding your NPI number, that's mostly required for Medicare and for billing. It's National Provider Identifier. So you can apply for it. Your program coordinator will guide you what to put for Social Security number. They are not required for visa at all. They're required for your further training as well as your residency. Your second question about B1, B2, those who have active or valid B1, B2 visa or expired multi-entry visa in last 2 years, most likely will be getting a interview waiver. Your third question about statement of need, you can write 7 year because if you write 1 year or 2 year, 3 year, if you want to do fellowship, you will need it, you will need again. So the best is write 7 years.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Fateh. Next, I see 2 virtual hand raised. I have Tuba Mariam. Just a small reminder, if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Apna, please like the video, share to our channel. That really helps our channel grow. Today's Sunday morning, 10 a.m. with me, and Eastern Coast time, it's like roughly 11 a.m. We're all living this precious time with the family and doing all this for you. So please help us by supporting the channel. It would help us get monetized, and it would give us funds to utilize it for more, provide more guidance resources for all of you guys. So if you can help us, I see there are like 100+ applicants here. If you can all subscribe to our Apna channel, like it, that will be a big help. Next, I'll also remind you guys, I won't be taking any questions in chat here. If you have questions in chat, that will go on the YouTube section. I'll only be taking questions from people who have raised their virtual hand. So please raise their virtual hand. Right now, I see Tuba, Hafsa, and Sadaf Rizvi. So we will go in that order, starting with Tuba. Tuba, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you to the team for arranging this session. My question is not for this cycle, but for the next cycle. So if my immigration interview is expected to be scheduled in May 2024, so should I go with this match with tele-rotations or wait for the next one? Thank you.
Tuba, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Can you repeat that, please?
My immigration interview is expected to be scheduled in May 2024.
Okay. So did you match this year?
No, I haven't applied. I'm asking to apply in the next math cycle, or should I wait for the next one?
No, if you have not matched in this cycle, you can apply for the next match. You should be able to get your documents. If your interview is in May 24, you should be able to get your document to enter to USA by June, July.
Okay,
thank you. So quick question, Tuba, how are you getting immigrated? Is it marrying a green card holder? Is it marrying a US citizen? Is it family sponsored? So tell us exactly how are you getting immigrated?
Marrying a US citizen.
Okay, that in my understanding takes 3 to 6 months. And I was in this situation, right? So if you do, the problem is you have to check with the program you match at. Let's say if your interview is going to be May 2024 and you don't get your green card by July or August, then you might miss your residency. So I would say that what we decided, because we were going through the same problem, what we decided was like to focus at other things. My wife did research and we decided to have a baby and focus on all that other stuff. And then she applied once she got the green card. But for you, if your immigration interview is scheduled to be in May 2024, which, by the way, have you been married? You have applied already or you haven't?
Yeah, now my visa is at the stage of NVC.
Okay. So when you say May 2024, is that the date for interview or is that the date for like expected approval?
It's for expected approval.
Okay, then in that case, you can do that. You know, in that case, you might get lucky and get your immigration visa approved in by June so that you can
Yeah,
start
she
your
will
residency.
be fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Did that
you
answer
so
your
much.
question, Tuba?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, next we will take Hafsa. After Hafsa, we will take Sadaf Rizvi and Shaukat. In the meantime, I'll see if we have Dr. Muhammad Osama here. He was also going to briefly talk about a J1 waiver options and what I think hardship waiver as well. Osama, can you come forward, please? I don't think he's here. Okay, never mind. We'll go to Hafsa. Thank you.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Osama, please.
Yeah, I was just muted. So hi everyone. My name is Muhammad Osama. I just wanted to talk to. So just by a show of hands, can how many people here are on gonna go on J1 visa? If you can just just show your hands. Okay, a lot of people. So for J1 visa, after you complete your training, whenever it is, whether 3 year, 4 year, 5 years, 7 years, there is a rule which is section 212E rule, which requires that you go back to your home country for two years after completing your training, before coming back to the United States for further career progression or any job or anything like that. But that section 212E can be waived by certain conditions, and those are called J1 waivers, right? So there are different kind of J1 waivers. First one, which is the most common one, is the Conrad 30 waivers, which is every state has 30 spots in their underserved areas, and you have to work there for like 3 years, and that waives your home country presence requirement. And then there are HHS waivers, which is federally qualified healthcare centers. They are only for primary care. And if you work in those places for 3 years as well, then also your 212E home country requirement presence is waived. And then there are other different kind of waivers. There are DRA waiver. There is Appalachian regional waiver. And those are in particular areas. For the ARC Appalachian regional waiver is in a certain region of Appalachia. If you work over there for 3 years, then your home country requirement is raised. And similarly with the DRA waiver. And then there are waiver of national interest. For example, if you work with a federal organization like VA, then also your waiver is raised. A very less commonly talked about waiver, a lot of people actually don't know about that one, is called hardship waiver. So if you're on J1 visa, and if you have a US citizen spouse or US citizen children, and if by going back to the home country, you think that they would have extreme hardship, then you can apply for that waiver. So that waiver, in contrast to the other waivers, all the other waivers I talked about, they're filed by the organizations. For example, the hospitals, or the federal organization, but this waiver you have to file for yourself. Okay, so just a couple of things I wanted to tell about that was that the employer does not have any standing to file this request, and so the hardship must be to a United States citizen or a permanent resident spouse or child if the alien resides at home, and it does not refer to hardship of the alien For example, you cannot make a case that if I go back to Pakistan, then I will be earning less, or I will have not adequate career progression. Okay, and the alien must prove that if she returns to the home country, that compliance with 212V section would subject a United States citizen or permanent resident spouse or child to true and profound hardship, rather than a mere inconvenience, change of lifestyle, or a period of separation from the family. So you usually have to get a lawyer to file for that. And I was on a J1 visa, and I filed for that because I had a son who's a US citizen. So I used a lawyer, and the trick with that is basically the timeline, because usually people file, start asking me about that in their third year, and they're expecting to graduate in 1 year. And by that time, it's already very much delayed, because right now the wait time for the hardship waiver is around 18 to 24 months for it to get approved. So if this is something, if it applies to you, this is something you should start preparing for, I think, even from first year. And maybe by the time you get your second DS 2019 for your second year, you can actually get that by the January of like this coming January. You should be able to get that. After you get that, then you should be able to file that, because as I told you, the wait time is around like 18 to 24 months. And I filed in my third year, but I had an additional year of fellowship, which gave me some additional time to wait for the result. And once the hardship waiver is approved, then you cannot have any more DS 2019 issued. So that's the tricky part. So if the wait time is around 18 to 24 months, and let's say you file it after getting your first DS 2019 for second year, I don't think it will be, you will have trouble getting your third DS 2019 for your third year of training, because the wait times are so long. So you should be good from that standpoint, but that will give you adequate time to get it processed in time. And the benefit of that is that once that is approved, you won't have to do any Conrad 30 J1 waiver or any other sort of waiver. You can directly go on an H1B job, and your employer, they can directly file for your green card. So you won't have to wait for all of that time. So that's kind of like, nitty gritty of it. And I'm open to any questions you have at this time for this thing.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you very much. That was pretty thorough. With that, I'll have Dr. Ahmed Rehan Khan. Ahmed, can you please come forward? I'll have you briefly talk about, I see you were answering some questions in the chat. So if you can briefly talk about NPI and a couple of other things that we can make sure that everybody who's watching us, even on YouTube, they can hear your comments.
Thank you. So a few things about hardship waiver. So I think Dr. Aman explained it very thoroughly. One thing is that usually it's a rumor that once you file it, you will not get your DS 2019. And I was a victim of that rumor, so I only applied and my wife could not apply. But after having discussion with some of the lawyers, you can still get your DS 2019 because it just says that you have to mention that you have applied for a waiver. So that is something that I think you should be able to apply even in your first year of residency. That's the number one. The second thing is that more often than not, your case might not be entertained just on the basis of US citizen spouse. It's the most commonly approved cases are due to the US born citizen children. I mean, spouse people can apply and can get, but usually it's considered a weak case. In regards to NPI, NPI is National Proof of Identification. It's just used for your program coordinator will tell you it does not need to be done prior to visa. It has no relationship with the visa. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So just
I haven't posted a detailed step about all those things in the J1 group. So I think I should post it in the H1 group as well, but there is a detailed article about everything. Every step is there. You just need to search the history of the chat to find those NPI details. And it clearly states over there, it is not needed for J1, it is not needed for H1.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just in case if anybody doesn't know, Gulrez is another member of our YPC Apna committee. He's Dow's famous Gulrez Bhai and has been mentoring people for a decade now. Thank you, Gulrez. Thanks for being here. Just a quick reminder for Usman, Shami, Mustafa, and Zafir. I made you guys co-hosts. It's a little challenging navigating YouTube, adding people and doing all this. So if three of you guys who I made co-hosts, if you can help me out and add whoever is joining the Zoom. Now I see Hafsa, Sadaf Rizvi, Shaukat, Usman, Shami. So we will go in that order, starting with Hafsa. Please come forward and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you to the panelists for organizing this session. So my first question is that I want to know, do we need to have our bank statements ready for the visa interview? If yes, how strong should the bank statements be? Also, another question based on the video by Dr. Ahmed, where he mentioned that we have to get our visa restamped yearly. So what's the process for that, and how risky is it to travel back to Pakistan if we're on an H1 visa?
Okay.
Thank you, Ahmed. Go ahead, Fadavi.
For your bank, for J1 and H1, you really don't need a bank statement to bring. You can bring it, but they don't ask. The reason for that is they know that you're coming here to work and you'll get paid. For your second question, if you work in US on J1 or H1, you can continue to work for 7 years on J1 and 6 years for H1 without getting visa stamped. But if you travel outside USA, then you will need visa stamp to travel back to USA. So it is risky, but you can go into administrative process. We're working with Department of State. For those who have J1 and H1, they should have a different filters for administrative processing. But you can get stuck for a few months. That's your bad luck. But if it's emergency, you should travel and just contact one of us before you travel. We will guide you how to get your visa appointment and try to avoid your AP.
Thank you very much for that. Did that answer your question, Hafsa?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So next, moving forward, we will go to Sadaf Rizvi. Sadaf, please come forward and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, I know I've asked this a couple of times, but I'm so anxious about it. So I'm a Canadian PR. I'll be applying my J1 from Pakistan. Should I change my Canadian address to Pakistani address from everywhere, like my Oasis account with my hospital, like with my program and everything? Or should I just let wherever I have Canadian address, I let it be, and wherever I have like Pakistani address or like all the visa things, I should change to Pakistani address, and for the rest, it should be Canadian?
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. You can keep as it is. Nowadays, you can even get statement of need from Canada. Also, it takes 4 days to get it. If ECFMD requires you to do that, you can do that from Canada. But if you're staying in Pakistan, S1 from Pakistan will work, and visa applying in Pakistan should be okay for you.
Okay, thank you, sir, because I prefer applying visa from Pakistan as I'm traveling to Pakistan. Secondly, how do I show home country ties for J1 visa when I'm applying from Pakistan?
You don't need any ties. You're coming here to work and get paid. So it's only for B1, B2, you have to show home ties.
Okay, awesome. And the third thing is, Hafsa was talking about getting your J1 restamped. Can I get my visa restamped from Canada because I can come to Canada or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, so is it easier if I get it restamped from Canada? Because in past, I heard people saying that they got their visas restamped in 1 or 2 days when they travel to Canada or Mexico.
Yes, Canada and Mexico, you can do it. You will have to get appointment earlier because sometimes the waiting time is longer in Canada and Mexico than Pakistan.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Sadaf, I just want to comment on a couple of things. So if you apply from Pakistan, because this thing you should think about, if you apply for your visa from Canada, then Canada will be considered as your home country. And for waiver purposes, Canada does not issue, appropriate documentation for a lot of waivers in certain specialities. Okay. And also they don't issue statement of need for a lot of specialities. So that can be a problem. And if you apply for your visa from Pakistan, restamping it from Canada would be appropriate in your case, because you are also Canadian permanent resident, so you can make that case. But just from the waiver standpoint, I just want to let you know about that.
So I was looking up yesterday, and if I do waiver from, like if I do statement of need from Canada, then I cannot return back and work here because I'm still not trained in Canada. So that's why, like, overall, and talking to Dr. Shehzad, I like decided to apply from Pakistan only. But like there were a couple of things I needed to make sure before moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sidra. Thank you very much. So just a couple of reminders for everyone. I know Apna YPC committee, advocacy committee, we're all doing great work and trying our best to help and facilitate each and every person who's here and not here to make sure that they get their visa done in time. But just a reminder that we can only advocate, we can facilitate. We're not pushing in any way. We can't really make things happen. We're just requesting, advocating, making sure we provide you all resources and guidelines, and then hope for the best. So please keep that in mind. If things don't work out, it's not like there's one person, Dr. Ahmed Khan or Dr. Fateh Shehzad or anybody in Apna who can guarantee you or who can push your visa application forward. We can request, we can try for it, and that's what we have been doing. Second thing is, since we have a lot of esteemed speakers, I would just request, Fateh Bhai is our guru for visa processing for a decade now. If you have a question for other speakers, I'll appreciate if you can mention that while you're asking questions, that this is a question for Dr. Ahmed Khan or Dr. Osama or whoever. And otherwise, whoever can answer, they can come forward. So with that, I see there are 2 questions on YouTube. I'll have Dr. Fateh Shehzad answer that. The first one is from Shayan Marcia. If I have an active B1, B2 multiple entry visa, will my wife, who will be applying for J2 visa, also receive an interview waiver? Please go ahead, Fateh Bhai.
If she does not have active B1, B2 or expired within 2 years, she will not get a waiver.
Okay, thank you. The next question I see is from Usman Afzal. Hi, can a Pakistani NIC be used as a supporting document for NPI application? I personally don't think so, because, right? Because you need a US document. Yes. I think passport has that validity. I don't think Pakistani NIC can be used for that.
Umar bhai worked for a couple people last year. So
okay, great. It might fly then.
But as long as it is in English, but it takes more time. The preferred documents are birth certificate, NADRA issued in English, and the passport. But it did get processed for a couple people with CNIC as well, but it took longer than usual.
Thank you, Gulrez. So exactly, it's preferred to have your US passport, which you should have anyways, but if not, or your Pakistani passport, but if you don't have it, you can use it. It's just not the preferred way. Next, I'll say I see Shaukat, Usman Shami, and Hareen. Before I come to you, I'll take this question on the YouTube comment. Can I change J2 to J1 within US? Fateh Bhai, can you answer that?
Sorry, my daughter was here. Yes, you can ask the question again.
Can I change J2 to J1 within US?
Yes, you can. It's called change of category. It might take 3 to 6 months because there is no premium processing for J1, which is available for H1. So I will request that you do it in Pakistan because it will take less time. But if there is any reason you cannot travel, like I know one candidate can't travel, she has applied for asylum. So in that case, you should try in US. It can be done.
Thank
you will need to have an attorney.
Fateh, I would just like to add that my wife, she was on J2, and basically they told us that the program as well as the people we asked that it cannot be J2 is the solo visa category that cannot be converted to J1. H4 can be converted to H1 and vice versa, but J2 you have to leave US border. So and again, that's what our experience was with my wife's case. ECFMG told us that. So maybe I'm not sure if we had the complete information, but that's what ECFMG told us.
Yeah, this is
ECFMG
Dr.
very-
Jamshed. I know personally of a graduate who got her J2 changed for personal reasons to J1. You can do that easily within the US.
ECFMG is requesting now B1 and B1 people to leave before they will issue DS 2019, but J2 can stay and do it, get it done here.
Perfect. Thank you. With that, we'll go to Shaukat. Shaukat, please come forward and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So my questions are with regards to my wife, who is currently J2, dependent on me with a 2-year home visa requirement. And I'm actually echoing what has been asked just now before me. And that is, the program has categorically told us you have to return back to your home country. For my wife, I mean, she has to stamp her J1 from Pakistan, not from USA. And the second thing is because what they need is the proof of return stamp before ECFMG will be able to issue a DS 2019 for her. And that is something. So the proof of return, does it really need to be uploaded before that DS 2019 can be issued to my wife? I mean, if everything can be done here in this country and she can get a DS 2019, she can pretty much go and start working.
Yeah. I think
so
the program is mixing with the B1 and J2. So ECFMG will let her change J2 to J1 here. They will issue a DS 2019.
Fateh Bhai, maybe I'm wondering if we can copy and paste the link for everyone. So sometimes the program coordinators don't know, and we can show it to them so that this may not be an issue.
So perfect, great suggestion. So what I will do is I'll once we get the link, I'll share that link in the YouTube description of this video. Also, a reminder to everyone, I see you're all sending messages in the chat and Zoom. We won't be taking any questions here. So I'll appreciate if you want to text your questions, write them in the YouTube live so that we don't have to monitor 3 different places, right? So if you want to write your question, please write it down in the YouTube live comments or live chat, sorry. And we will only take live questions in the Zoom sessions. With that, I'll go to Gulrez. Gulrez, please go ahead.
Umar bhai, so I pretty much kind of like agree with Ahmed bhai as well. I ran into a couple cases where ECFM, like the programs didn't process it and they were like, we need your I-94 to be updated for an exit stamp before we will update it. So for J2 to J1, so people had to actually exit to get their J1 stamped again. So this recently started, this was not the case before, but I started hearing this from last year where ECFMG was not allowing them to convert within the country and they were supposed to leave to come back. So on a J1. So I think we need to clarify with ECFMG. Fateh Bhai can probably, or Dr. Jamshed can easily do that by sending them an email and we can then post the response.
Absolutely. And like I said, we will post that response in the description of the YouTube video. Shaukat, did that answer your question somewhat?
Please, we do need that help because, as you know, the condition. I have had the good company of Dr. Shazad before as well. When last year I was stuck in admin processing, I cannot afford that anymore. The PTSD is still very much lingering. It's a very honest picture.
Call ECFMG or email them about her case.
Please.
No, you can do yourself regarding your wife. So,
I mean, we can do, but the thing is, if you guys as a forum are strong on the legal aspect of it and the political aspect of it, you know, that will greatly.
No, we'll definitely do. We'll definitely do. I will call one of their vice presidents. Please. But you can ask and then show or send that email to your program. The
Please, we
DCA
will do.
is the
I
one.
promise you that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that I can promise you. I mean, you can understand how much of anxiety we have with all this admin processing and that thing. It's not easy. The second thing is, sir, that on the university, and this is my other question, which is important one, on the University of Cincinnati website, which is not where my wife has applied, it's at SUNY Upstate. But the point is that at University of Cincinnati website mentions that because we have the 2-year home requirement on J1, J2, dependent and everything, she will actually need to stay in Pakistan for 2 years before her visa can be switched from J2 to J1. Is this?
No, that's not accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
She
Thank you
can
very
go
much.
on J1, but not on an H1 if her program sponsors.
Thank you, Sama. With
But
that,
once
we'll
again,
go to.
my apologies, sorry. So, but once again, the program said, even if she goes from J2 to H1, she will still need to go. This is her first time, so she will still, so it's so much of a stress for us.
She cannot go from J2 to H1 till you fulfill your home country presence requirement or you do a waiver. But she can go from J2 to her own J1.
I see. But what if next year, because I will also be applying for a waiver position. So what if I am on H1 waiver? Will can her status also be changed because she will be like a resident by that time? So can it be changed to like H1 from J2 EAD to H1 if she starts working on J2 EAD now, let's say? Can that happen? Is there a possibility?
If they allow her to work on EAD, that will be fine. But the thing is, it's very complicated. Now, J1 in some case, J2 in some cases can be converted into H1, but she will still have obligation to complete waiver unless the primary applicant, which J1 you start your waiver. Once you start your waiver, she will have no obligation to complete waiver. So that's the point. So she can actually do. You need to talk to an attorney, J2 to H1. But if you don't do waiver or you don't go to out of country, she will have to do that because that's actually your primary applicant requirement. But if you fulfill your requirement, her requirement will be waived.
Thank you. Thank you much. So with that, we'll go to Usman Shami, then Harim, then Zafir. Usman, please come forward.
Assalamu alaikum. I hope you can hear me. My name is Usman Shami, and I'm also the Facebook page admin of KEMCAANA YPC. Thanks to Umar Bhai and Osama Bhai. I have 3 questions and 4 questions. Sorry, 3 of them are related to J1 research. The first question is that is J1 research different from J1 residency? The second one is related to this. That let's say J1 visa is for 7 years, right? But I spent 2 years as doing research as a postdoc fellow. Then I have 5 years of J1 research left, J1 visa left, but my radiology residency would be for 6 years. So what will I do for the last year of residency when my J1 will expire?
So Usman, let me answer that really quick. I've made a detailed video. I'll share that video with you. So J1 research is.
We can't hear you.
I think you cut off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll quickly answer that. J1 research is typically completely different than J1 clinical. The home country waiver requirement does not apply on J1 research. It only applies to select few conditions for research. So for radiology specifically, I can tell you, you can do 2 to 3 years of research. And then you do your radiology residency. You can even spend 7 years of training without an issue. And even if you spend an 8th year, just in case, if you want to do multiple fellowships, you can always get a letter from your PD, but that is not an issue at all. And I'll share that video with you myself. I've made a detailed video on this exact issue on my channel. Did that answer your question, Usman?
Yeah, sure. And 2 more questions quickly.
Please go ahead.
If let's say if Yale University sponsors my J1 research, but after 6 months I shift to another research program, how will that shift happen? And lastly, if I go on a B1, B2 for an observership, I already have a J1 as well and B1, B2 as well. But first I go for B1, B2, and then I want to shift to J1 for research. Let's say my observership is in May, but my research position starts in June. My entry was on B1, B2, and my research will be on J1. How can that switch happen? 2 switches, basically.
Well, the thing is, there are 2 different things we're talking. There is a visa, there is a status. Visa is something you need to enter into the US. Status says something on what you're doing. So basically, Fateh, I can add more or clarify it, but my understanding is your visa will be B1, B2. You will come on B1, B2, and then you will try to get your change of status from B1, B2 to J1 research in US and work on J1 research. But that doesn't mean you have your J1 research visa. If you want to apply, then you need to go out of the country, apply for J1 research visa, and then come in. And then when you get the J1 clinical for residency, you go back out of country again. Okay.
Okay. And what if I'm shifting?
Change of status might be tricky from within the US, from shifting from B1, B2 to J1 just in time, because I think you just have 1 month in between those two.
Yeah.
It would be easier for you to just exit the country and then come back.
Okay. And lastly, if I'm shifting from one program to another program, my J1 was sponsored by one program. Let's say, for example, Yale sponsored my J1, but now I'm shifting to another program. How will that shift happen? Would that be an issue?
You will need a new J1. You will have to.
No, Fateh bhai, I thought so. The J1 is sponsored by ECFMG, not by programs.
But that is for J1 clinical. We're talking about J1 research.
Research.
Yeah, this is for research.
I stand corrected. Okay.
So in that case, you will need a new J1. And that I don't think you can even change category, because that's not a change of category, just change of sponsor. So you will have to exit country, get it stamped, and then come back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Usman. With that, we will go to Harim. Harim, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for this session. My question is for Dr. Osama Aman about the hardship waiver. So like you said, that we have to be really vigilant about the timeline. So I want to know that if you're planning for a residency of 3 years, for example, internal medicine, and then 2 years of fellowship on J1, what would your timeline be for a hardship waiver in that particular case?
Are you sure about the fellowship right now?
No, not sure, but I do want to do a fellowship, but not sure. Yes, not sure.
Okay, so if in case, because you'll have to decide, I think, by your second year that whether you want to do a fellowship or not. If not, then you'll have to file for hardship waiver. And if yes, then you will have to wait till you start your fellowship or you're matched in the fellowship. If it's a 2-year fellowship, once you match into it, then you can start the process. Now, continuing what Ahmed Rehan said. So once the hardship waiver is approved, once it's approved, not applied, there is a difference between applied and approved. It will be approved, 18 to 24 months later. Once it's approved, you cannot get a new DS 2090. So in that case, for example, I did my residency on a J1 visa, and then I did my fellowship on a I matched at Cleveland Clinic, but they were able to apply H1B. So in case my hardship, they sent the favorable recommendation and approved it before I started my training at Cleveland Clinic. Cleveland Clinic could have sponsored my H1 as well. So in that case, look for programs which sponsor H1B. There's a lot more fellowship programs, depending on actually, your fellowship category. They might or might not be able to sponsor H1. But in that case, if it's a 2-year fellowship, then by the time you match, you should start the process, because it's taking 18 to 24 months to get approved.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And that's why we would recommend that you have to be very clear in your choices regarding hardship waiver. Very clear. You have to know what you want to do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So we will take some quick questions from YouTube. The first one is, can I change J2 to J1 within USA? Can either one of you answer that really quick?
We talked about it. Yes, it can be done.
Perfect. Next, what's this NPI number? And both J1 and H1 people have to apply for it, and how to apply for it?
NPI is basically a national provider identification number. It's required to prescribe and practice in the United States. It does not have anything to do with the visa. It's just something you will have to do in order to start your residency.
Perfect. Next is, I have valid B1, B2. Am I eligible for visa interview waiver on H1?
Yes.
Perfect. Next, Musa Khan is asking, do we need a letter from current employer for visa purpose to say we are currently employed and will be leaving the current post to join residency?
No.
No. Okay. Mohammed Arslan is asking, during J1 restamping from Pakistan, if it goes to administrative processing, can we get our passport back and return to USA on a previous J1 visa before the expiry on June 30th?
If it is still valid, yes, you can. Many people have done that. And when your AP is cleared, you will have to come back or send your passport with someone, which is very tricky. So, but it can be done, yes.
Okay, thank you. Soothing Sounds is asking, I've heard that if I travel to US and apply there for the change of status from B1, B2 to H1B, I can avoid administrative processing, but later on, I can't move out of US until I get green card. My understanding is that is somewhat correct. Otherwise, can you rectify that?
No, not correct.
Not correct. Okay. So you would recommend if you have to go from B1, B2 to H1, you should go back and get an interview.
No, the
You
first
can't do a
part,
change of status.
no, first part is correct. She can actually H1 because the sponsor is the hospital. It's
Right.
not ECFMG. So they have no objection changing change of status or change of category. And for H1, there's a premium processing. So it is done within few weeks. It does cost extra money. But the second part was not accurate, that she cannot come back. She can come back, and then she will have to have stamped her visa H1.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah,
she can
exactly.
go back. Yeah.
Right. But once you go out of the country, you would need this visa to be stamped. 100% correct. Okay. Now, the next question is by Asma Ladat. She's asking, I am currently on an F1 visa. Can I change my visa from F1 to J1 visa within US? I have never held a J1 before. And I'm assuming you mean J1 clinical.
Again, if ECFMG will not allow that.
Okay. Now, Hamid Hussein and other questions, I'll come back to you after taking a few questions. Harim, did we answer your question? So, okay. In that case, we'll have you lower your hand. And next we have Zafir. After Zafir, we'll do Sayyid Mustafa, Faranaz, and then Afshamsin. Zafir, please come forward.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Zafir. I am a graduate of Dow from 2020. I just have a quick question about J1. I and my wife have both matched, and we are both J1 requiring applicants. Is there something that we need to keep in mind in this whole visa process? We both also have B1, B2 multiple entry at the moment, which is valid. We'll both be applying together. We'll both be traveling together. Any tips from any of the panelists?
I don't think it will be an issue. Just like, just follow as you would apply as a single person. It would be pretty much same. I think Fateh Bhai can elaborate further on it.
Sure. Most likely you will get waiver on interview. So, and if you do have to have interview, you can go as a couple and you can do together. Even though she's not dependent, she's applying J1 also, you can do. But both, if you have valid, most likely my understanding is this year they will give J1 visa interview waiver.
Thank you, Fateh Bhai. Zafir, did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Zafir. Next, we'll have Sayyid Mustafa Shah.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. I'm Sayyid Mustafa Shah, also a graduate of Dow from 2020 and starting my neurology residency in University of Missouri this July, inshallah. Thank you to all the panelists for holding this session. It's been very helpful to all of us. My first question is that after completing residency and training on J1, if as doctors we decide to come back to our home country and work in our home country, like working in Pakistan for 2 years, and then go back to the US on H1, is that a difficult route? Do people face issues going back from Pakistan to the US? And is there any advice you would have in that context? And my second question is that I'm a dual national, and I was wondering that when we apply for the statement of need and they apply the requirement for home country residence, do we need to have any particular documentation to make sure that our home country residence and our statement of need is from one country as opposed to the other?
Dual national of which countries?
Pakistan and Britain.
Okay, so whichever country you apply a statement of need from, you will have to fulfill the home country presence for that country. So, for example, if you apply from UK, then you'll have to go back to UK to complete the two-year home country presence condition.
Got it. Yeah, I read on the ACFG website that your country of last permanent legal residence can be the country you send your statement of need from. So I'm just going to send that from PMDC or Pakistan.
Yeah, and to answer your first question, people who have gone back to Pakistan or whatever their home countries, depending on specialty, but in general, there's no issue like coming back because there's a doctor shortage over here, and a lot of hospitals, they would want you. You might have to go to maybe a less desirable location if you come back, but coming back and practicing would not be an issue as long as you maintain your state licensure and CME requirements, and be active in keeping up your CME and stuff.
Thank you,
That's
Sama.
everything. Thank you
Did
so
that
much.
answer your question, Mustafa?
Yep, that answers everything. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I'll have you lower your hand. Next, we will move to Faranaz, Aksha Hussain, and then Ikra. Farah, please come forward.
Assalamualaikum. First of all, thank you everyone for arranging this seminar. And my name is Virisha. I logged in from my sister's account, so it's saying Faranaz. Okay, I have a couple of questions. First being, I matched to a program that offers an H1, and my husband matched to a program that offers J1. So he'll be applying for a J1 visa. I'll be applying for an H1. My question is that is that a common scenario that happens? Spouses, applying for over two different visa categories, and would that cause any problems for us during the visa processing?
No problem. You're just two individuals, even though you're husband and wife, but you will be treated as two individuals. So there's no issue at all.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Second question being, okay, that's a very big if I'm in an H1 visa and I hope to transfer to a program that offers J1. Can H1 be switched to J1?
Yes.
Is that does that happen?
Yes.
But don't do that.
Don't do that.
I was just about to say that the same thing. Please,
Right.
please don't do that.
Okay.
I will honestly suggest that once you have your H1, once you get your green card, it's a horrible idea to switch from J1 to H1. You can, once you become a citizen, if your husband is still doing a waiver or something, then you can try doing the hardship waiver. You will, if you have kids by then who are citizens, and one of you is citizen, you will have a very strong case of using hardship waiver.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say personal scenario. If one of the spouses is a citizen, you can actually apply for green card in the last year of your waiver, year 3. Otherwise, you end up having to wait a longer time. So that's also an advantage of staying that path.
And if you're on H1B, it will give you more flexibility on moving wherever your husband gets a waiver, if that's the case. So don't go on J1, because that way you will both have to find a waiver at the same location, which will be very difficult.
Okay. All right. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just have one last question.
Please.
Regarding the NPI. So you need 2 forms of identification, one being your passport, and the second you said it said that it's a birth certificate. So I was not born in Pakistan. I was born in Turkey. My birth certificate is in Turkish. So will that work? Or does a B form work in that scenario? Can I apply with a B form?
I think you will have to get English translation from an approved agency.
Okay.
Yeah, I would get a translation and then also add your CINIC to it. Send three then evidences of your identity.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Fateh bhai, I have a question for you. So in their scenario, they're doing J1 and H1. So if one of them files H1 and they want to give the interview together, can they do like a group interview?
Yes.
So they will get the option to add the DS-160 to the other application and then go as a group.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
And if they have B1 active or valid within 2 years, they will have a waiver. Both of them can get waiver.
And Dr. Fateh bhai also, is it correct that they just need to bring those documents with them for the NPI? The whole NPI process will actually occur once they join residency or during their orientation, correct?
So this, I can take this. I've been working on the NPI for the last 2 days. So Now
Please.
NPI, the programs are actually asking them to have an NPI before they start the residency.
Exactly.
Initially, when I started, our NPI application were processed as soon as we land so that we can get an SSN and then easily do it. But now all the programs want them done to be prior. And there is a non-SSN based application. I will post it in the Apna
Okay.
group, and hopefully we can upload it to the
So,
website.
Gulreez, what happens if they don't get a visa or it's delayed and they'll still end up getting an NPI number?
They will still get an NPI number.
I think
Only
it
thing is,
sounds like it has to do with insurance. They want everything credentialed before they
exactly,
start.
because
Right.
Okay.
you can't provide care to Medicare patients unless you have an NPI. So they were running into technical problems with that. So all the programs since last year, I have noticed, want an NPI before you start, and there is a paper application that needs to be physically mailed to a Maryland address to the national provider enumerator, and it takes around 2 to 3 weeks to be done. I'm gonna work on this article today, just like Fateh Bhai did H1J1. I'm gonna do one on NPI today and send it over, and then we can upload it to the
That'll
Apna
be great.
website.
That's very helpful information actually, because this is new. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gulreez. So just a quick reminder, I'm sorry, I have to remind this. Please, subscribe to our Apna channel, and some, again, housekeeping reminders that if you see at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you will see options of reactions. If you click on it, you can raise your hand. So in this Zoom session, we will only be taking questions from people who have raised their virtual hands. So right now I see Afshan Hussain and Ikra. So we'll take these two questions, and then we will go to Basharat Hussain. Afshan, please come forward and ask your questions. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the session. So my question was, if I enter the US on an H1 visa, so how early can I enter? Like I read that we're supposed to enter 10 days before the date of employment. So my program orientation would happen before that. So the 10 days is before 10 days of orientation, or is it before the date of employment?
10 days before your orientation.
They would have to mention the start date. They would have to mention the start date on the contract then.
So that's 1st July, but the orientation would happen before that.
If you have a proof with you, like email or any document that your orientation starts this date, you can enter 10 days before that date. Even if your employment starts July 1st. Bring that document with you.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Afshan?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll go to Ikra Shoaib. Ikra, please come forward.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for this informative session. So I have a couple of questions, and the first one is that there is a letter that the program director will send to our country, and what are the requirements of that letter? Because I need to tell this to my program as well, that what things the country requires that the program director should be sending in that letter.
You're talking about the contract or the letter?
No, just the letter. They have mentioned it apart from the contract. It's not the contract.
There'll be a letter from ECFMG to the embassy. The program director just need to send you a contract.
Okay, perfect. I got it. And the other question is that so can we get an easy appointment in Islamabad US Embassy for J1 visa? Can it be like we can do the emergency or expedited appointment, right? But I was just concerned that can I get a timely appointment?
Yeah, you all will get timely appointment this year, like we did last year. It will start from maybe 10th of April till end of June. So you should be able to get appointment within a week or 10 days.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
I have a request. Please do not apply for emergency if you're getting in within 10 days or even 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because that kind of clogs up the system, and they really don't like it. If they're giving us on time appointment, why you want to get an emergency appointment? Last year, some resident still did it and they were denied. So there is really no need to do it if you're getting in April or May. Why you want to have an emergency?
Okay, perfect. And I apologize beforehand. I know that this question might be answered before, but the internet connection was unstable, so I'm asking it again. So I'm on a B1, B2 multiple entry visa and it's still valid. So my J1 visa appointment interview, will it be waived?
Most likely you will get a J1 visa interview waiver.
Okay. And the last question is that what is the process of the dependent visa because I want to apply for my son as well. So what's going to be the process for that?
You should mention him as a dependent so that he will be issued a separate DS 2019. And if he does not have active visa, you will have, usually if he's less than 8-year-old, they're also waived from the interview.
He's like, he's less than 18. So will we have like a group visa appointment? Will both of us go together? Or
If you have interview, then you will go together.
Okay.
Most likely you will get, both of you will get waived.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much for answering this. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you for the way. So I see Basharat, Muhammad Saad Ali, and Imran Khan. I'll take questions from you guys in that order. But before that, let me go to YouTube comments. Fateh, let's quickly wrap these YouTube comments. First one is from a J2 dependent, which of the processing fee needs to be paid in addition to my fee for a J1 processing? The fee for this fee for DS 2019, SCVIS fee, or consular fee?
Only DS 160 fee, which is $180, nothing else.
Okay, perfect. Rabia Ali is asking, my husband is a resident on J1 and I spent my last year on F1. I just matched a family medicine residency program and went and want a J2, but my program is not letting me. Please advise me on how I can go about it.
Yeah, some program don't let you work on J2 with EAD. Some might let you work on EAD. She will need to have her own J1, which most likely she will have to come to Pakistan.
Perfect. Next, Rumail Javed is asking, how can a person avoid J1 waiver jobs? I think this is an elaborate topic. We've talked about the hardship waiver option. You can go to Pakistan, but other than that, I don't think there's any other way to avoid J1 waiver, unless somebody wants to add in. No. Okay. Can we change J1 research visa to J1 clinical visa within US?
Again, it can be done, but the sponsor is going to be ECFMG, which is requiring you to leave now.
Perfect.
Before they will issue DS 2019.
Okay, Muhammad Saim is asking, if your spouse is going to travel in April next year, do you still recommend applying for J2 dependent visa now, or you can do it later?
Yes, she can travel anytime. They should apply together and go for interview together.
Next is Saad Farouk is asking, a person on multiple B1, B2 visa, if applying for J1, is he eligible for interview waiver? I think we addressed that already.
Yes.
Baran Patel is asking, my B1, B2 expires 3 years. I expired 3 years back. I will be applying for J1 research visa this year. Am I eligible for J1 waiver?
No.
No. Muhammad Siddiq is asking, is there any problem due to multiple DS 160 submission for B1, B2?
Can you repeat that question?
Is there any problem due to multiple DS 160 submission for B1, B2?
No.
No, okay. Deepak Kumar is asking 3 questions. Hi, my wife, she matched in a program with J1 visa and we are currently UAE resident. My simple question is, from where should we apply for J1 visa, Pakistan or UAE? I'll also be on J2 with her.
In UAE, they can apply there, but there's waiting time, might be 2 months. In Pakistan, waiting time will be between the DS 160 submission to interview will be less than a week.
Okay.
But you can apply both places. But again, it depends also. Although SON has nothing to do with the visa, but they should consider where they can easily get SON. So that's a separate part.
Okay. Thank you. Minahil Wasim is asking, I have an appointment. I think Usama or Gulrez?
Yeah, I just want to, a lot of people have asked this question about who are dual nationals about applying J1 from a different country. So just keep in mind, if down the line, if you're eligible to apply for a hardship waiver, it might be a very difficult case for you to prove that you'll have exceptional hardship if you have to go back to UK or Dubai or Canada as compared to Pakistan. So, you should keep this point in mind in, the country you're applying the J1 visa from. And then again, for you will have to fulfill the home year residency requirement for that country. And, for example, Canada does not take internal medicine training of 3 years. So, you might not be able to go back and practice over there. So these things should just keep in mind on where you are applying your, J1 visa from. People who have applied from Pakistan last year, they have done fairly well. I mean, they did not have any problem. We had very few people, who had any issues or anything like that. So I don't see an issue applying for a J1 visa from Pakistan at all.
Okay, thank you, Sama. Minahil Wasim is asking, I have an appointment for B1 visa in July, but need to apply for J1 now for residency. How should I proceed? I was advised to withdraw B1, use the same payment for J1. Any advice on how to do this?
Yeah, I think she asked me same question. Answer is same. She can withdraw and use that money for J1.
Okay. Saad Kadusi is asking, I have a multiple B1, B2 valid for J1. If an interview waiver is available, is it compulsory to take it, or can you still opt for an interview? Also, do interview waiver cases have less chances of administrative processing?
They can take option of going for interview, but the AP is same for a waiver or in-person interview. That's just a clearance process, nothing to do with the in-person or with waiver. So
it's not, there's no added benefit of doing an in-person interview, right?
No.
So it's not a good idea to do it. Thank you. Mubashir Karamat is asking, I'm applying for J1 visa and J2 dependent for my wife. We both have multiple entry B1, B2 visa. Are we eligible for interview waiver?
Yes.
Okay. With that, we'll come back to these YouTube questions. Sarah, Freebie, and others after that, we'll come back. Let's take Basharat Hussain. Basharat's question. Basharat, please.
Hi, everyone. My question to Dr. Fateh Shehzad is, my B1, B2 was in administrative processing for 14 months, then it got cleared. So my question is, every time I apply to a US visa in future, will my visa go into administrative processing? And if yes, is there any way to avoid that?
Most likely, yes. But if your once first was cleared, then the clearing time will be less, like 4 weeks, 2 weeks. But there must be something with your date of birth, your name, that puts it red flag in for the interviewing officer, and they put an AP. Most likely answer is yes, but your clearing time will be less.
And is there any way to know the reason why my visa goes into administrative processing?
That's protected by law. Nobody can tell you the reason.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Saad. Basharat, I'll have you lower your hand.
Hi there. Thank you so much, everyone, for putting this up. I mean, this is very helpful. I'm a medical graduate of 2018, Dow medical graduate. So I'm currently living in Canada as a permanent resident. So I have 2 questions. Firstly, this was very confusing that, I mean, you have to get a statement of need either from your home country, which is Pakistan, or your legal permanent residence, that's Canada. So I specifically emailed the program, and they asked me to email ECFMG. So I emailed ECFMG, and they mentioned that you have to get it from your legal last permanent residence, which is Canada, I'm assuming. So just want to clarify if this is more like an option that I can do both, or this is something that I have to get it from Canada first. Second is, now for instance, I mean, if I get my DS 2019, and while I'm applying for a visa application, I intend to apply from Canada, but God forbid, if I don't find a date for the visa interview, then will I have an option to go back and apply from Pakistan? Can I switch in between? I don't know, is there a way to do it if I don't find a date within Canada? So can I apply from Pakistan?
Yes, your first part of your question, your first question, it's very clear from ECFMG. If you put your address of Canada being your home address, and you're legally staying there, not on visa, but as a permanent resident, then you will need SON from Canada. About second question, yes, you can change from, if you apply in Canada, you can withdraw application, go to Pakistan or any other country. Sometimes you can use fee because fee is same. And sometimes they don't let you use your coupon for the fee.
Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, thank you so
Okay,
much.
I'll have you lower your hand. Next, I'll go to Imran Khan.
Hi, thank you so much for the session, for all the information and help. I have two questions, one for me, one for my wife. First is, I had my B1, B2, and then I entered on J2. Does the waivership rule apply for the interview? And if that waiver is given, do I have to be in Pakistan to submit my my passport to the embassy? And second question is, if you have, like my wife is on J1, and if she has to restamp her visa, and she had her valid B1, B2, is she exempt from the interview as well? Thank you.
Answer to all your question is yes, but you will have to right now, she and you will have to be in Pakistan to restamp visa. We're working with the Department of State to waive that option, that you can get it from USA. They're doing a pilot project on H1 visas, and they have a separate section in Washington, DC, where they can stamp visas in USA. They're doing for H1, but we're working for J1. It's not still an option for you all. So you'll have to go to Pakistan to get your visa, even if your interview is waived, but you have to be present in Pakistan.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But anyway, I was thinking next time we shouldn't do that while you're fasting. You know, I can feel you the tiredness in your voice. Okay, so I see Sadaf Rizvi, Shaukat, and Mustafa with their hands up. You guys already asked your questions, so we will begin second round once we have finished our first round. So I have a lot of YouTube comments. I'll come back to you, I promise. And if you don't have your video on and you're raising your hand, I can't see it. I have like 3 windows open. So please, if you want to ask questions, have your video on and then raise your hand. So I'll go, for the way, let's answer some YouTube comments really quick. Safa Afridi is asking, what documents I need to upload for J1 sponsorship application for as a J2 person?
If she's a spouse, she will need a marriage certificate, which can be actually sometime there are 2. One is from the Union Council. Second one is going to be from the NADRA.
Okay.
And KEMCAANA, so they can do all 3.
Perfect. Mahnoor Jadoon is asking the $1 million question. Any tips on how to avoid administrative processing?
Nothing.
I can do dua, just pray, that's all. Shayan Marcy is asking, due to inflation rates rising, causing the airfare to skyrocket, is it recommended to book the airline ticket before the visa interview is allotted? That's a subjective question. You can, I personally would say yes, but it really depends on your financial situations. Would you agree?
Agree.
Perfect, thank you. Sheila Iqbal is saying, if one is getting married next year, can one get a J2 dependent next year? It depends when your nikah is, right? You can't do that if your nikah has not been done.
No, she's saying that if she can get next year, after nikah, yes.
Oh, okay, okay, perfect. Asma Ziaur Rahman is asking, I'll be applying for J1, currently on J2. What additional documents we address that? Also, how soon do I need to leave US?
She can apply for visa, fill DS-160 and apply for visa. And just few days before interview, she can come back to Pakistan.
Okay, there is another twisted question, which I think we have already answered. Are we eligible for a J1 visa interview waiver if you have a valid B1, B2? But I haven't traveled to US yet. My understanding is yes. Would you agree, Fateh? Okay, yes. Perfect. Rumail Javed is asking, do we need to do waiver job even after completing fellowship? Yes, you can choose to do it before fellowship or after fellowship. In general, the more super specialized you are, the more challenging it is to find a waiver job, but you can still get it. Let's say you are a transplant surgeon, you're an electrophysiologist, you're an interventional cardiologist. You can still find a waiver job, but it will be just much more challenging to get it as compared to if you are just a hospitalist or a pediatrician. So the more subspecialized you are, it is a little challenging. That's why some people opt to do the waiver before, but I know a lot of people who do the waiver jobs after fellowship. Okay, next we have Alina Ahmed asking, how much time is required for the processing of J2 dependent spousal visa?
Can you repeat the question?
How much time is required for J2 dependent spousal visa? I think we can't say that, right? It's the typical like for any other visa.
Yeah, it's like J1. There's nothing different time-wise. Just if there is a J1 valid and there is a KEMCAANA or other document we mentioned, so it's the same process like J1. It's not like B1, but it's like J1.
Okay. Hira Noor is asking, Salam everyone, I'll be going for B1, B2 interview. Can I go with observership as I have a hospital acceptance letter? And also I have my step 3 book. Should I go with both or either one of them?
I will say if she's going to stay and do both, she should express, she should let the officer know for both. And that should be the reason, because one very bright student, he actually matched this year. He came here on step 3 and told both on entry as well as the visa officer, he's going for 2 weeks. He stayed for 6 months. And when he went back, his all previous visas were revoked. It was multi-entry. And now he might face J1 issues too. So please be honest. If you're coming for 2 things, just tell them upfront. If you're coming for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you should leave, because it creates problem not only for you, but for others. That case was the only reason now step 3 visas are being refused, because he came for step 3, he stayed here for 6 months, which was legal, but it was against what he requested for.
I agree. And I'll like to clarify that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, things were a little different. Once you get it and you'll get a 6-month stamp, you can stay till 5.5 months, or, you can leave a day before. Now things are a little changing. They want you to be honest. If you come in and you're planning on doing observerships and planning on staying for 5 months, just be honest and share that, rather than saying that I'm going to be here for 2 weeks and then staying for 5 months. That looks very bad and makes things challenging for yourself and others from your country. Rafe Islam is asking regarding interview waiver. I have a valid B1, B2, but my wife and son don't. Will I be eligible for waiver, and my wife and son, would they be eligible, or they will need to interview?
No, they will need to have interview, but I will recommend that he should also take the option of going physical interview with them.
Yeah, so go together as a family. Perfect. Samin Anam is asking, I'm a Canadian citizen and will be applying for J1. Are there any travel restrictions on J1 from US to Canada or from US to Pakistan? What is the waiting time for interview from Canada?
Canada is a longer waiting time, 2-3 months, sometimes 4 months. Pakistan is a few days. So that's right. She can travel to Canada if she might need a valid visit visa for Canada. Yeah,
but there are no restrictions. You will just need a Canadian visa to go there.
That's right.
But she's a Canadian citizen, so you should be fine.
She won't have no problem.
Right.
When entering back to US, you would need your DS 2019.
Yes.
Every time you travel.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Sana. Nihal Khan is saying, I'm a Canadian citizen and graduate from Pakistan, but will be applying for H1B from Canada. Will I be exempt from a visa interview? Canadian citizen.
They have valid visa?
He didn't mention that. So I think it is more like if you have a valid B1, B2 visa, you will be exempt. If you don't have valid B1, B2 visa, you wouldn't be exempt, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Mohammed Saim is asking again, I was on J1 research and I'll be getting J1 clinical. What documents from US I'll need, like any tax returns or bank statements from US? I think we answered that. You don't need that for J1, right? Because you're getting a paid job.
H1, yeah.
Right. Muhammad Lamrana Shaelo, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. How often people are sent for administrative processing, and why the visa officers sent visa applicants for administrative processing?
I mentioned earlier, it's purely security clearance, and the visa officer cannot do anything once your first name, middle name, or last name matches with wanted list or your date of birth. So that just screen gets actually locked. They can't do anything, and they will just give you a paper that your visa has gone AP. Sometimes it happens after the interview. So don't be surprised. Sometimes they say, it's okay, you can go home and we'll send you a passport with visa, but it can go AP afterwards too. And this is purely security issue, which needs to be cleared by 6 security agencies, including one from Pakistan.
Thank you for that. Qasim Ali is asking, can my visa go to administrative processing for J1 since my B1, B2 was cleared recently in late December, and then I traveled to USA 2 next month? Yes, it still can, right? You can't really predict. I don't think there is, for all you guys who are asking, there is no real way to predict if your visa will go to administrative processing or not. Like Fateh Bhai said, there are a lot of factors that we are just not aware of. And there are a lot of factors that we just can't control. Talha Javed is saying, I'm matched in a program that sponsors H-1B. I had an initial welcome meeting with my program coordinator. However, they haven't started any documentation process. Should I just wait? Yeah, please wait. Sadaf Rizvi is saying, does the J1 waiver work if B1, B2 multiple entry visa is not issued from Pakistan? I'm applying for J1 in Pakistan.
Yes, it will.
All right. Mohammed Saim is saying, do you need to change names on CNIC or passport for spouse to apply for spouse visa, or KEMCAANA is enough?
KEMCAANA is enough.
Okay. Noor Fatma is saying, Assalamu alaikum, is it okay if my husband remains on L1 while I apply for J1 for myself?
Yes.
Only from Pakistan.
Yes.
Okay. Sumaya Amin is saying, what if your visa gets denied once, now with an inability to show non-immigrant intent? How much chance do I have to get one if we reapply, since our circumstances don't change in 1 to 2 months' time?
Yes, she's talking about B1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seems like it. So just so everybody's clear, H1 is immigration intent, B1, B2 is non-immigration intent. Oh, sorry, H1 is dual intent. So just be aware of this, right? H1 is a dual intent, B1, B2 is a non-immigration and non-immigrant intent. So depending on what visa you're going for, you got to plan accordingly. You know, if you're going for immigration and if you're going for H1, then you need to show that you will stay in US for the long term. But if you're going for a non-immigrant visa, then your home country ties are way more important. So just have that clarity in mind. Know that what kind of visa you're going for. Is it an immigration visa? Is it a non-immigration visa? Their interviews are completely separate. Home country ties are very, very important for all the non-immigrant visa. And all your interview is just to determine, is this guy going to come back or he's going to illegally overstay in America? Whereas in immigration intent, they want to make sure that you will stay in US, you will be invested, and you won't be just traveling back to Pakistan every 3-4 months. All right, next we have Hiranur asking if I show 3 months acceptance letters, if I want to stay for 3 months for US clinical experience, does it reduce the chances of getting B1, B2? I want to stay honest, but it seems risky. I would be honest.
Yeah, that's just be honest, and she can get 3 months. She still might get multi-entry visa because that's the option they're taking these days to reduce the number of interviews at the embassy and consulate. But if she tells for 3 months, she should return in 3 months.
Okay, Sumaya Amin is offering a clarification that she was talking about J1. My understanding is J1 is a non-immigrant visa, right? You have to come back for the waiver, right? For the way, can you clarify that?
She's the same question. I think she's the same person who B1 was rejected. So she should not have any problem with J1 in rejection.
Karachi or Islamabad, which one is better? Depends, you know, which city you support more. You know, Karachi Kings is a good team, but it has been losing a lot. So I would say Lahore is the best, but that's only because I'm from Lahore.
No, there is
doesn't matter.
No visa in Lahore, Islamabad.
Oh no, he didn't ask about embassies. He was just asking which town is better.
For what?
Just kidding. All right, now let's see what else do we have. I see some hands raised. Shaukat, Sayed, Mustafa, and Ikra. It's been almost 1.5 hours. I'll appreciate if you can be brief, and we want to wrap this up. At the end, we will have Dr. Numan Ashraf.
Let's take Deepak first, because the other ones previously had asked the question, so they're second round.
I don't see his camera on, so I can't see him with his virtual hand raised. So please, Deepak, if you want to ask a question, please switch on your camera. All right, Deepak, bhai. Aye, come forward and ask a question.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for arranging this nice session. I already asked the question on YouTube, and I received the answer that because we are, me and my wife, both are the resident here in UAE, and my wife, she matched in a J1 program. So my question, a few more questions I have, that one regarding the statement of need, because Sir Fateh said the statement of need we have to apply. So I want to know about this. First, like how should we go with the statement of need? And the other question is regarding the appointment in UAE, because we are intending to apply from the UAE for the J1 and also for me with her for the J2. So what should we do for this? Because in case if we receive the appointment here, as you said, it's 2 months delay. So I don't know, because if we get the appointment for June or July, and then what should we do? Should we cancel and then again we apply for the appointment in Pakistan? Because I don't understand this all the issue.
You have two options about the statement of need. Are you there as a on any kind of visa? Are you a citizen, or what status you have there?
We are here the resident, because now they have issued us a golden visa, so we have here the 10-year residency.
So
Even
then
we
statement
can
of
go
need will come from UAE, and the visa you can give an interview in UAE, and if you get 2 months appointment, you can apply for emergency appointment, because if it is within 30 days of your start date, you qualify for emergency appointment. They will most likely award you.
Yeah, because still we have not received any contract or any process from the program yet. So we don't know, because this is also we are confused about.
But if you can't get visa interview there, you can go to Pakistan. Even if your statement of need is from UAE, you can go to Pakistan for visa interview.
Okay, so you mean the statement of need will be from the UAE, not from the Pakistan?
Correct.
So what if we can get the statement of need from Pakistan? Will it not be the possible? Like if we do not, because here we are not a permanent resident. We are just a resident only for the 10 years.
Yeah. If you're not permanent resident, then the Pakistan.
Yes, we are not the permanent resident. Yes. We are just temporary, but just.
So 10 years is a visa. So your permanent resident is Pakistan, and you should write your Pakistan address as a permanent address on the CV's application, and you can get SON from Pakistan.
So then I will get the appointment here, and we can cancel the appointment and book again if the appointment is July. So we will cancel and we will again go with the appointment in Pakistan, right?
Yes, if your emergency appointment is denied, then you can go to Pakistan.
And one more question. My wife, she already had research on a J1 visa with the Mayo Clinic, and she was expected to join this May, and we already have appointment. She already has appointment in Dubai. 9th of April, but she got matched, so we canceled that appointment, but we have not canceled all the application, we only canceled the appointment. So what should we do with that appointment? Because we already have submitted all the process, and we returned their DS 2019. We emailed to the Mayo Clinic, and they replied that you should have return the document. So we already returned them, and we canceled the appointment here. So will this be like any issue?
No, the fee she can use her fee towards this J1. So she already canceled that visa, but she still has a proof of payment, so she can use that proof of payment towards this J1.
So we should not pay for any appointment that we should not pay for the next appointment. We can show this the payment, you mean?
Yes, in UAE, but if she goes to Pakistan, you go to Pakistan, that might not be the case, because the fee is different in different countries.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. So just a reminder, if you have questions, please keep your video on and try to be brief now. It's 1.5 hours. We will try to wrap this up. And at the end, we will have closing remarks from Dr. Numan Ashraf. So let's see, who do we have? We have Muhammad Mustafa Mim and Rafi Abani. Let's take their questions. Mustafa, please come forward.
You're muted.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello? Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm a graduate of Government College, year 2022. I matched to a program on H1 visa. My question is, I know that you can get an interview waiver if you already have B1, B2 visa, but I just wanted to confirm, does it have to be from the same embassy where you got your B1, B2 visa from?
That's correct.
From McDowell or Gary
Okay. Okay. And my second question is, I know that you can travel on the J1 without having to renew within the first year. Is that the same case for H1? That you can travel anywhere or to your own country, or I'm going to go back to Canada. So is that the same case for H1?
Yes. If your visa is valid and stamped, you can travel anytime. if it is not valid, you can
Okay,
travel
my-
out of the US, but cannot come back unless you get it re-stamped.
Okay, thank you. And my third question is, I'm going to be traveling. So just want to know, is the risk of administrative processing lower if you go by land versus air?
No. No difference.
Okay. Okay. And this is my. I know that Dr.
Mustafa, we can barely hear you. I
Is
think
there
you're.
something similar for H1?
By the way, did you understand his question?
No, I did not.
But Mustafa, we can barely hear you. Do you mind typing it in the YouTube? I think you're traveling, so there's a lot of background noise, and we couldn't hear your last part. I'll come back to that question in YouTube. Next, we are going to Shahriyan Naeem and Rafi Bani.
Hello, thank you so much for arranging this seminar. I just wanted to ask that back in July last year, me and my wife got multiple entry visa for 5 years. And we, like everyone at that time, told in the DS-160 that we were just going for the step 3. And we wrote 2 weeks as our duration, but we stayed there for 4 months. We came back, we went again for an interview for just a week. So I was just worried to hear that it might be a problem that now we are going to apply for a J1. She has got matched. I would be applying as a J2 with her. So should we be worried about it, and what should we do now?
I don't think you need to worry about anything. You just go as a couple and you'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Shahriyan. Next, we'll go to Rafi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for organizing this session. So I had a question regarding the statement of need. So to explain, to provide a bit of context, I am a Japanese national. And if you are a Japanese national, I was supposed to drop my Pakistan NIC at the age of 21. I cannot carry a dual nationality. So with that being said, I applied for the statement of need on, I think, the 23rd of March. I still didn't get any reply yet, so I'm not sure of what the status is going to be regarding that. But my question is, would I be able to get a statement of need? I don't have an NIC. My NIC was like taken away at the age of 21. I now have a POC. It's a Pakistan origin card. It's like an NIC, but it's what I got. And I've been living here since 2010. So would that cause any issues regarding the statement of need? I inquired into getting a statement of need from Japan, but they said that we only provide statement of needs to medical graduates of Japan. So that option is out of the window.
You should be okay. If you have any problem, if you don't get by Monday, let me know. I'll talk to Dr. Achaksai and we'll get it resolved. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rafi. Next, we have Daniel Amir.
Your audio is not.
Daniel, we can barely hear you, Daniel. So what I would suggest is, if you have poor internet and if you're traveling, please post your comments or questions in the YouTube live chat, and I'll take it from there. So by the way, let's do 2 quick questions. So Lamrana Jallo was asking clarification. Is there any difference between Islamabad or Karachi embassy or consulate officers? My understanding is no, right?
Yes, no difference. Wherever you can get interview earlier, in case of J1 and H1, it will be almost same timeline. So whichever is closer to you, J1, J2, H1, H4, usually not denied. They can go in AP, and AP can happen anywhere in the world. So it does not matter which embassy you go, because you're not worried about being denied. It's just the AP, which is same in any country and any city.
Okay, thank you. Sahreem Javed is saying, on my B1, B2, if I show acceptance of 3 different observerships, but get more rotations after entering US and stayed for 5 months, would that cause any problem in obtaining my J1 visa now?
For J1, most likely no, unless they send her anything as a revoke her B1 multiple entry. If they did not notify her, she should be fine.
Okay. Nusrat Tahira is asking, I have B1, B2 interview soon, and I work in a government department. If I give, if they give me bona fide certificate that says I'm an employee here, and but doesn't state that I need to be in US and need day off from work, would that work? I think what you mean is like a leave certificate. It always works if you're going for a non-immigrant visa, like a B1, B2. If you show that you're taking 2 months off, 3 months off from a work, you have assets, you have property in Pakistan, and you're just taking time off, it always works in your favor.
Yes.
Would you agree with that? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Next, we have Qasim Ali. So guys, please be brief, and we'll want to wrap this up in the next few minutes. We are hitting the 2 hour mark.
Okay, sure.
Qasim, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have one question. Recently, my visa was cleared from administrative processing for like after 7 months. Then I traveled to USA, and I was given 221G. And in that, along with that, I was given an email which included that I had to give my 15 years of past work experience. But I provided all the details that I could from the hospitals that I worked in. But now my ERAS CV is more detailed with the volunteer experience and some other clinical works that were not mentioned in that email which I provided to the embassy. So would that make a difference right now or not? Thank you.
No difference at all. The ERAS CV is not accessible to the embassy or consulate, so you don't need to worry about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So Mustafa Memon is asking in YouTube chat, sorry for the disrupted connection. My last question was, Dr. Osama mentioned that you need to keep your DS 2019 with you when traveling between US to Canada. Is that only for J1 or H1 too?
Both.
Both, perfect.
H1 does not have any DS 2019.
Yeah.
Sure. So with that, we won't be taking any more questions in YouTube chat. And last 3 questions in the Zoom session will be Shaukat, Sayed, Mustafa Shah, and Ikra. Guys, please be brief. Go ahead. Shaukat, starting with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Umar. So, sir, first question, where will the link be sent for the status change from J2 to J1 within the USA? Is it the YouTube videocast? Will the link be sent over there? Where are you guys going to send that link? Is my first question.
Are you part of visa that my Fateh Shahzad or Fateh J1 visa group? Are you on the part?
Yes.
Okay. I'll share it again today.
Okay, fantastic.
And it will also be in the YouTube description.
Yes.
Sure. Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. My second and last question is that I have a valid visa until July 17 to help my wife. Suppose if she needed to go or something, can I travel there? Is there like a date in which I have to return, or is it actually the last date, like July 17, before which I just have to arrive to the US port to get back entry in? My DS 2019 form is valid until next year. So that's my only question.
You can enter even 24 hours before your validity is over.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Mustafa Shah, you're next, please.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question. My first question is about which passport I can use for getting my J1 stamp. So I have a Pakistani passport, which was issued about a month ago, and a British passport, which I've had for the past 20 years, which has my travel history and an active 5-year B1, B2 visa. I was wondering that, given that my statement of need would be from Pakistan for the J1 visa, should I get my J1 visa application stamped on my British passport or Pakistani passport? That was the first one. And the second question is that if an applicant has done clinical hands-on externships in the US and when filling out the ECMG CV and the visa CV, some people mention that you should write any work experiences as observerships, given that there are some restrictions on activities in the US about hands-on patient care.
Answer to your first question, yes, it should be Pakistani passport. You should get visa. Because sometimes they can say that you should apply in country of citizenship. So if you do UK passport, they might not even consider your interview. Second part is accurate that on B1, B2, you are not allowed to do hands-on training. So mention observership instead of externship. As a student, you can on B1, B2, but as a graduate, you cannot do hands-on training on B1, B2.
But that does that need to be mentioned on DS 160? I don't think the observership need to be mentioned on DS 160.
No, the IRAS CV, I think that's what he's asking. For other, I don't think for J1 you need a CV to give to the embassy.
Yeah, I think it's just the ECFMG CV, if I'm not mistaken.
Still, mention observership is better.
I'll do that. All right, thank you so much.
All right.
I know you guys write hands-on training for the program, but for the ECFMG, you should still mention observership. If you're
Perfect. Got it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Ikra, what's your question?
Yeah, so I'll be really quick. My question is that I've been to USA multiple times before on this B1, B2 multiple entry, but in 2021, I had to come to Pakistan. Like after staying 1 month in USA, I had to come to Pakistan for 2 weeks and then went again to States for 2 weeks and then came again back to Pakistan. There were some family issues. So this doesn't create a bad impact on getting a J1 visa, right?
They might ask you a question. So you, whatever family reason was, and if there is any documentation needed for that, take it.
There is, yeah. My mother was sick. Yeah, she had, so I had to go back for her. And then I had to come back again to USA because I was already doing something there. So it's just that there was the frequent entry and then I had to go back and then came back again and go back again.
Anytime you have frequent visits or entry, it does raises a red flag. For so many things I don't want to mention here, but you should have clear-cut answer why you had to do that. And if you have any kind of hospital record for your mother, take it with you.
Yeah, so when I was at the immigration, I was with the immigration officer at the JFK. So they asked me that what is the reason, and I provided them with the document that this is the doctor's prescription, and there was a proof of the condition that my mother has had. So I provided him with the proof, and then everything was cleared.
Yes, and that's very helpful. It should be on your interviewing officer's record that you presented that with those documents. So take those documents with you again.
Oh, no, but now this time my interview is waived because I'm still on B1, B2 valid multiple entry.
So it is on your record with the officer on entry, so it should be okay.
Okay. And then last question is that it's just for a friend that she will be having an in-person interview. So when they ask that for how much duration will you have to stay in United States with a J1 visa, and then when will you come back? So what should the answer be?
They don't ask for J1.
Okay.
They only ask for B1, not for J1 and not for H1. And the other thing about your when you send the documents for J1, even if you're waived for visa, just send a small letter with those documents that you had frequent visits to US because of this reason.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate
I would
it.
also recommend you should get your DS 160 reviewed either by Fateh Bhai or one of the mentors in the J1 group to kind of like go over the application once. Your case can get a little bit complicated because of frequent visits. So make sure that you seek some advice before submitting.
So I should share the DS 160 with Dr. Fateh?
Yeah, yes. And I will, if you go for interview, I'll prepare you for interview too.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So still, it won't be waived because of this condition, or it will be waived?
They will give you option. If it is waived, they might not give you option. So they might want to see you in person. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Ikra. So we won't be taking any more questions. This the two last people who have their hands raised. After this, sorry, we're done. Really quick, Imran Khan, what's your question?
Well, it's more of a request than question. The group Dr. Fateh Shehzad have mentioned the guidance group. Can we have a link to that? If that's filled, is there any?
Yeah, it's the field. Did you fill the forms? The fill form for matched applicants. If you haven't done that, that's on every
I believe
website.
I have. Yeah.
Yes. So then you should be in the group. If
All
you're
right.
not, we will make sure. Imran Khan, right? I'll ask one of the admins to make sure that, but it's mainly J1 guidance, H1 guidance groups. So we will make sure if you entered your info in the form of the matched applicants from Pakistan, then you should be a part of that. Usman Shami, please go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so last question. Can I get J1 stamped from Canada, or does it have to be your home country, Pakistan, if I'm already in the US?
Yes, you can go to Canada and get it stamped. That's not a problem. If you're here in US, you take your documents. Do you have, what is your citizenship other than Pakistan?
No other citizenship. I just have a Canadian visa.
You have visa, yeah. You can get it stamped. That's not always necessary to have it re-stamped from another country.
Because traveling to Pakistan is more expensive than going to Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
Canada and Mexico, you can go.
Okay.
And actually, I want to clarify one more thing. Even if your visa is expired and you go to Canada and Mexico, you can re-enter on expired visa.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Usman. Thank you. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. This was an extremely informative session. I thank all the panelists. Thank you very much, Usama. Thank you, Ahmad Rehan, Khan Saab. Thank you, Gulrez. Thank you, Dr. Namra. And especially Dr. Fateh Shahzad. Thanks a lot. We could not have done this without you. I really commend all of you for taking your Sunday morning and spending this, entire Sunday morning doing this for all the applicants. It takes a lot of dedication to do that, and we commend that. A request to all the people who are watching us on YouTube, please like our video and subscribe to the channel. And that really helps our YouTube channel grow, and hopefully we can monetize it. Thanks for being here. And with this, I'll have Dr. Numan Ashraf come forward and give his closing remarks as the chair of YPC. Thanks again.
Okay, well, this brings us to the end of this webinar. Great webinar. I think it was very interactive, and thanks to Umar for conducting it. Thanks to all the panelists, Fateh Bhai, Osama, Ahmad Rayan, and then other YPC members, Gulrez and Namira, for sharing their expertise as well. So as we have already talked about it, please fill out the form that's available on our YPC page. We can also share the link here, and then we'll add you to one of the groups for the J1 or the H1. Again, we are here to help you, guide you. Nobody can ensure what happens, but we will do our best to guide you. And then if there are issues, we'll try to advocate through our Apna platform. And thank you very much for joining, and good luck with the rest of the journey. Thank you.